The night sky over Sector 8 fractured without warning. No sonic boom. Just a tear, like glass cracking across the stars. Seconds later, two silver vessels, sleek, wounded, bleeding light, screamed into Earth's lower atmosphere. They didn't. Then they crashed. One hit the outskirts of the sector's perimeter wall. The other plowed into a frozen lake, ice erupting in a geyser of boiling mist. At Earth's Deep Space Emergency Response Outpost, alarms screamed. Reed Ashford slammed down his helmet and bolted to the launch bay. Behind him, Cal Monroe scrambled with a medkit, cursing under his breath. "They're not ours," Cal shouted. "That ship's signature isn't human or Terran Alliance." Reed didn't slow. "Don't care. If something survived that impact, we need to find it before they die. Or start shooting." The first crash site was still smoking when they arrived. Reed stepped through twisted metal and scorched grass, weapon raised. Then he saw her, 8 feet tall, glowing indigo skin, armor cracked but still pulsing with reactive plating. She was on one knee, chest heaving, a blade in one hand. Her other arm was clutched to her ribs. Her eyes, like twin suns locked in a dying star, locked onto him. "Saraxa." She didn't speak. She lunged. Reed barely dodged her plasma-scorched blade. Ducking low and sweeping her legs, she collapsed hard, gasping. Blood, near bright copper, unsprayed the grass. "Damn it," Reed muttered. "You're not here to fight." She looked up at him, face twisted in confusion. And pain. "Not fight," she rasped. Ran, fell, burned. Reed lowered his rifle. His instinct said this wasn't an invasion. "We're not enemies," he said slowly. "You crash-landed, let us help." She blinked, confused. "You... help?" "Yes," Reed said. "That's what we do." 2 kilometers away, Cal stood. Over the second pod, steam rose from the water. The ship was barely intact and but floating. Inside, he found her. Not as tall. Not armored like the other. Her skin was pale silver, hair like liquid moonlight. She was unconscious but breathing, barely. He slid inside, gentle. Careful. She stirred when he touched her shoulder. Her eyes fluttered open, a sea of teal. Naivara. "Hey," Cal said softly. "You're okay? I've got you." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Why? Help me." "Because you're alive, and because someone has to be the first to trust." Her fingers wrapped around his wrist. They both flinched. The moment they touched, a pulse passed between them. A low, warm vibration in the air, like the world had stopped breathing for just a second. Naivara's lips parted. "You feel familiar." Cal smiled, surprised. That's a weird thing to say to a stranger from another star. But her eyes were already closing again, this time in safety, not fear. Back at the base, Saraxa and Naivara were stabilized, under armed guard, sure, but not in cages, not restrained. Earth wasn't at war, not yet. In the med bay, Cal sat beside Naivara, who now wore a thermal cloak and breathed easier. "I'm Cal," he said. "We don't normally have space. Goddesses falling through our atmosphere." She smiled faintly. "I am no goddess." He grinned. "Says the alien who just rewired my DNA with a handshake." She blinked. "What?" Across the room, Saraxa stared out the window. Reed stood beside her, arms crossed, eyes steady. "You're not like what I expected," he said. "I was not meant to land here," Saraxa replied. "This world, it's not part of the path. Maybe it is now." She turned her head, slowly, eyes scanning his face, and for a moment, just a flicker. She didn't look like a warrior. She looked like someone searching. Night settled across the compound like a heavy shroud, but sleep never came for Reed or Cal. They were posted just outside the med bay, staring through reinforced glass at the 2 beings who had dropped into their lives like stars torn from orbit. Neither man spoke for a while. The weight of the day was too heavy for small talk. Inside, the sisters lay on parallel biobeds. Nivara stirred first. Her silver-white hair had fanned across the pillow like mist. Her eyes blinked open, not with fear but with a strange softness, like waking from a familiar dream. She turned toward Cal, who leaned in the doorway, arms folded, watching. "You stayed," she said, her voice hoarse but clear. Cal smiled. "I figured if you were going to vaporize us, you would have done it by now." She exhaled something that might have been a laugh. "You're strange." "You're not wrong," he said with a small grin. "But I'm kind of proud of it." He stepped inside slowly, cautiously, but she didn't flinch. Instead, she sat up, hugging her knees beneath the blanket. "I remember falling," she said softly. "The tribunal screaming, the light of the portal. And then, cold, water, silence." "Why were you exiled?" Cal asked gently. Nivara looked down at her hands. "Because I refused to bear the next heir." He frowned. "You were royalty?" "Not by choice. Our kind. We're bred for legacy, not love." She looked up at him, eyes glimmering. "I wanted something more, something real. So I said no, and that made me dangerous." Cal nodded slowly. "Sounds like you chose freedom." Nivara tilted her head. "And somehow, your world is where I landed." In the other chamber, Saraxa stood at the observation window, arms crossed, chin lifted. She still wore the scorched remains of her exo-armor, but the glow had faded, her power dimmed by injury, or fatigue. Reed watched her from a few steps away. "You haven't rested," he said. "I don't rest easily," she replied, not turning. He stepped closer. "Nayavara said you were a soldier." "I was more," Saraxa said. "A bonded weapon, a chosen mate for the High Warlord of Kareth Prime. He tried to claim me. I broke his spine." Reed blinked. "That's one hell of a breakup." She smirked. "Barely. He saw me as a vessel, not a person. My refusal sparked scandal. Then exile. I fled with my sister. We chose oblivion over obedience." He nodded, slowly. "You don't regret it?" "I regret nothing." She turned now, eyes piercing. "But I don't understand this world. Your kindness, your chaos. Why help us?" Reed met her gaze, unwavering. "Because even in chaos, some things deserve saving." Her jaw tightened. "You're not like the males I've known." "I get that a lot." Another silence stretched between them. "You're not afraid of me," she said. "Should I be?" Saraxa stepped forward, slow, predatory. But her voice was softer than expected. "I killed my would-be mate in front of the blood court. I shattered the rite of ascension." Reed didn't flinch. "I've done worse. Not proud of it, but I live with it." Their eyes locked, warrior to warrior, wound to wound. And for the first time since she crashed, Saraxa didn't feel like she was bracing for an attack. She felt seen. Later that night, Cal found Nivara, awake again, staring at the stars from the window of her recovery room. "Can't sleep?" he asked. Nivara smiled softly. "Your sky is so loud. I keep listening, waiting for something to tell me I belong here." "You don't need a message," he said. "You already landed in the right place." She turned to him, surprised by the quiet conviction in his voice. "I don't know what's happening," she whispered. "But when you're close, I feel less lost." Cal reached for her hand, hesitating, but she took it first. Their fingers laced together like they were meant to. Her glow warmed slightly as if her body approved. Cal's chest tightened. Not from lust, not from fear, but from something simpler. Connection. At the same time, Saraxa watched Reed from the upper catwalk as he ran weapons diagnostics. "You fight with precision," she said. He looked up. "You stalk with grace." A pause. "I don't trust easily," she admitted. "Neither do I. But if there is war coming," she said, stepping closer, "I would rather face it at your side than alone." Reed didn't speak. He just nodded once, and Saraxa, for the first time in years, felt the edge of her blade dull, not from defeat, but from peace. The morning came with a silence that felt unnatural. Reed stood outside the outpost's eastern perimeter wall, staring into the woods beyond. The sky had a shimmer to it, like a crack in a mirror about to break wide open. Something in his gut tightened. Inside, the sisters were recovering faster than any human medicine should allow. Too fast. Cal entered the medbay carrying 2 mugs, one steaming with coffee, the other laced with a neural stimulant he'd customized for Naivara's makeup. She was sitting cross-legged on the floor, humming to herself, a strange harmonic tone that seemed to vibrate the glass around them. "Didn't know you were a singer," Cal said, kneeling beside her. She opened her eyes, glowing faintly. "I'm not. It's a memory. Songs from home. My mother used to hum them when I was afraid." Cal handed her the cup. "You afraid now?" Naivara paused. "No, just changed." He tilted his head. "Changed how?" "I feel everything. Now your breath, your heart rate, your hesitation when you look at me. It's all connected." Cal went quiet. He wasn't sure if that scared him or made him fall deeper. "Is that part of the bond?" he asked. Naivara looked down. "Yes, but also, no. The bond may have started it, but something else is growing, something we weren't taught to feel." Cal reached out, brushing his fingers against hers. "Love?" She smiled gently. "Is that what this is?" "I think," he said, "it's the best name we've got." Their hands lingered together longer this time. Neither pulled away. On the training deck, Saraxa drove her fists into a reinforced carbon target again and again, until cracks webbed through the alloy. Sweat beaded down her glowing skin, steaming off in curls. Reed leaned on the rail above, watching. "You're not pacing yourself." She stopped, breath ragged. "I don't need to." "You're burning hot," he said. "Like, actually, glowing. That normal for you?" Saraxa turned toward him slowly. "The bond is accelerating my energy cycle. Our connection, it's evolving. You say that like it's bad." She walked toward him, close enough that the air shimmered between them. "I've been trained to suppress feeling, to turn desire into discipline. But around you I can't stop the pull." Reed straightened. "You're saying it's physical." "I'm saying..." She stopped, searching his face. "I want more than instinct. I want to feel something real. And that terrifies me more than exile ever did." Reed stepped forward, hand brushing her arm, just a whisper of contact, but her body reacted like fire meeting oxygen. Her pupils widened. Her pulse quickened. And so did his. "We're not just bonding," he said. "We're changing." That night, alarms blared. A foreign object had entered the upper atmosphere. Stealth class. No transponder, no signature. In the control room, Cal and Reed stared at the screen. "What the hell is that?" Cal muttered, Reed's jaw clenched. "It's not human. But it's not crashing like they did either." "Then it's not lost," Cal said. "It's hunting." In the sisters' chamber, Saraxa suddenly clutched her ribs, gasping. Naivara flinched as her skin sparked with golden static. "They found us," Saraxa whispered, eyes glowing too bright. "The tribunal knows we survived." Naivara's voice trembled. "They sent a seeker." "A what?" Reed asked, entering fast. "A weapon," Saraxa said. "Cloaked, adaptive, unstoppable, designed to find bond breakers and erase them." "And us?" Cal asked. Naivara locked eyes with him. "You're part of the bond now. That makes you a target too." Reed's fists clenched. "Then we hit it first." Saraxa stepped toward him, her tone fierce. "No, you don't fight a seeker. You survive it. Unless what?" She hesitated, then turned to Naivara. "If we complete the bond," she said slowly, "it amplifies everything. Strength, Reaction, instinct. 2 pairs, 4 hearts, 1 pulse. Naivara looked at Cal. It will change us forever. Cal didn't blink. Then what are we waiting for? Reed met Syraxa's gaze. You trust me? I wouldn't have stayed if I didn't. Their hands met, heat bloomed, and in that moment, the stars trembled. The outpost's lights flickered, not from a power surge, but from something deeper, something biological. In the observation chamber, Naivara's breathing quickened as her fingers laced with Cal's. A soft glow radiated from their palms, like light being born beneath the skin. Across the corridor, Syraxa and Reed stood still, hand to hand, foreheads nearly touching. Their connection hummed like a growing storm, the air around them thick with tension, heat, and gravity. Then, without warning, the pulse hit. A wave of golden energy exploded outward from the two couples. It rippled through walls, through machinery, through the planet itself. Alarms screamed. Lights shattered. Every sensor across the base glitched simultaneously. But it wasn't destructive. It was alive. General Aran's voice crackled through the overhead speakers. Ashford, Monroe, what the hell just happened? That burst came from inside your sector. Do we have a reactor breach? Reed responded calmly, but his voice carried weight. Not a reactor, sir. Something else. Something new. In the med lab, Naivara collapsed into Cal's arms, her chest rising and falling fast. Her skin shimmered like frost catching sunlight. She looked up at him, eyes glassy but full of something sacred. It's complete, she whispered. I can feel you. Every thought, every fear, every beat of your heart. Cal cupped her face gently. I've never felt closer to anything, not even myself. Tears welled in her eyes. They trained us to avoid this, to fear this kind of bond. But it doesn't feel like a weapon, Cal said. It feels like home. Naivara leaned forward. Their lips touched. It wasn't lust. It was reverence. A slow, grounding kiss, like two galaxies meeting in silence. In the training hall, Syraxa pulled away from Reed, her chest heaving like she'd just run for miles, but her eyes, they blazed. You feel that? She said. Yeah, Reed answered. Every inch of it. Their bond didn't just complete. It forged a shared instinct. Reed could sense Syraxa's tension before she moved. She could feel his heartbeat regulate her breathing. Could you always do that? Reed asked. No, she said, stepping closer. This is new and dangerous. She grabbed his shirt, pulled him closer, and kissed him. It wasn't soft, it was war meeting peace. It was control surrendering to feeling, and he didn't fight it. Outside, the Seeker had landed, not with fire, not with sound, but with silence. The cloaked figure stood 2 kilometers from the outpost, observing the energy trail left by the bond pulse. It shimmered with black armor that seemed to swallow light. No face, no eyes. Just a jagged crown of thorns where its head should be, and long, blade-like arms that moved with unnatural fluidity. The Seeker didn't speak. It simply moved forward, and every step it took made the ground forget its shape. Back, at the base, Cal's vitals pinged the highest on record. I'm not scared, he whispered, holding Naivara close. But I feel everything. You, me, the stars. Naivara nodded. And something else. What is it? Her glow dimmed slightly. The Seeker is near. In the command room, Reed snapped to attention. We've got incoming. Visual. Distortion on the northern cameras. It's cloaked, but the energy trail's bleeding through. Syraxa grabbed her weapon, a crescent-bladed halberd now humming with her own biocharge. You two stay inside, Reed said. Cal stood. Like hell we will. Naivara's voice was calm but resolute. This bond is not just for closeness, it's for battle. Then we fight, Syraxa said. As 4. Or we fall. As 2. Reed looked at her, and for once, he didn't feel alone. He nodded. They stepped out into the cold, the wind howling across the open plains. The Seeker stood at the edge of the field now, visible only as a distortion. And then it appeared. Black and silent and monstrous. But the four didn't retreat. They stood in a diamond formation, bonded pairs glowing brighter than stars. Syraxa's voice cut the silence. "You are not welcome here." The Seeker's limbs shifted, weapons morphing from the darkness around its body. Then came its only sound. Single, shrieking pulse, like every death in the galaxy screaming at once. The Seeker moved like a blade made of shadows. Each step bent gravity. Each breath warped the air. Its limbs stretched and split like liquid obsidian, forming serrated weapons that pulsed with void energy. Reed stood at the front, Syraxa beside, him halberd glowing brighter than a flare. Behind them, Cal and Naivara stood back to back, hands locked, pulses synced. Naivara's silver skin shimmered, flickers of light sparking off her palms. For a moment, no one moved. Then the Seeker lunged. It struck like lightning, a black blur targeting Syraxa's chest. But she was already in motion. She pivoted, caught the Seeker's blade on her halberd and twisted, sending out a blast of bonded energy. The blast tore through trees behind them. Reed moved like muscle memory, sliding under the Seeker's right strike, placing an explosive charge under its leg. It went off, a sharp boom, but the Seeker didn't fall. It adapted, its limbs reformed mid-strike, and this time, it went for Naivara. "No!" Cal shouted, stepping in front of her, arms raised. The Seeker's blade slammed into him, but didn't pierce. A golden hex shield had erupted from his chest, projected by the bond itself. Naivara gasped. "You're projecting now?" Cal looked down, stunned. "I didn't even think about it, I just felt," she said, eyes wide. "You felt I needed you, and that was the key. The bond wasn't about logic, it was about instinct, connection, emotion." As if hearing their thoughts, the Seeker shrieked again, louder, sharper. It retracted, arms flaring out into whips of plasma-charged energy, now laced with anti-bond tech. Black needles shot forward like a swarm of wasps. "Down," Reed barked. Too late. One needle struck Naivara in the side. She cried out, stumbling to her knees. "Naivara." Cal dropped beside her, hands trembling. The area around the wound hissed. Glowing sickly purple, Syraxa's eyes went crimson. "It poisoned her." She turned toward the Seeker, voice low and burning. "You will suffer." Then she ran. Fast, too fast for any eye to follow, she struck the Seeker like a comet, her halberd carving a searing line across its chest. The impact sent it crashing into a crater it hadn't made, but it didn't die. It split. Two halves peeled from the center, reforming like shadows healing around fire. Reed was beside her in seconds, rifle humming with converted bond energy, thanks to the charge Syraxa had passed to him through their touch. They fought as one. She attacked high, he swept low. They weren't warriors now. They were a system. Behind them, Cal cradled Naivara. Her breathing slowed, her glow dimmed. "Stay with me," he whispered. "Don't go dim on me now." "I'm trying," she said, voice faint. "But the toxin, it severs the bond." Cal looked into her eyes, and something deep inside him cracked. He pressed his forehead to hers. "Then take my light. I'll burn you. Let me choose." And with that, their bond surged. A pulse of silver exploded from their joined bodies, and Naivara gasped as the wound stopped spreading. Her glow came back. Dim, but steady. The Seeker sensed the shift. It turned, enraged, its energy flaring white-hot, then hurled its full weight toward Cal and Naivara, claws stretched. It would have hit. But Syraxa got there first. She tackled the Seeker mid-leap and screamed, not in pain, in rage, in fury, in ancient bloodsong. And her scream was a trigger. Because Reed, seeing her take the blow, broke something inside. He launched after her, punching through space itself with the new power in his limbs, grabbed her from midair before she hit the ground and landed with her in his arms. "Still breathing?" he asked, heart pounding. Syraxa smirked through blood. "Takes more than a demigod to kill me." They stood together again, all four now glowing, all four alive. The Seeker was slowed, damaged, but not dead, and as it pulled its limbs back together, preparing for one final strike, Naivara rose, steadied by Cal. "We need to fuse the bond," she said. "Fuse?" Reed asked. "Merge light with light, all four. One pulse." Cal stepped forward. "Let's light it up." They joined hands. 2 pairs, 4 souls, 1 circle, and as their energy aligned, the stars above them pulsed. A spiral of gold, blue, silver, and crimson light exploded from their center, rocketing upward and downward, piercing the ground, the sky, the Seeker's core. The monster screamed, then cracked, then shattered, gone. Silence followed, then breath, then the sound of 4 heartbeats still alive. The battlefield had gone still. Ash floated in the air like falling stars, drifting over broken trees and scorched earth. The crater where the Seeker once stood now pulsed faintly with residue energy, the only proof that a monster built to kill love had even existed. Inside the outpost, lights flickered back to life. Medical scanners recalibrated, and somewhere deep in the structure's core, human technicians whispered rumors. They killed it. No weapons, just them. Are they even human anymore? Naivara lay in a recovery pod, but the light had returned to her skin. Soft, silver, steady. Cal sat beside her, his hand resting lightly on hers. He hadn't let go since they'd fused the bond in the field. She stirred, eyes fluttering open. "I thought I was gone," she whispered. "You were," Cal said softly. "But I wasn't ready to lose you." She turned her face toward him. "I felt you pull me back. It wasn't logic, wasn't instinct. It was love," she finished, voice trembling. He nodded, lips pressed together tightly to keep them from shaking. "I've only known you for days," she said, "but when you held me, when we connected, I felt more than I've ever felt in my whole life." Cal exhaled. "Yeah, me too." Their foreheads touched. No kiss. Just breath. Closeness. Like if they let go again, something would tear. In the weapons wing, Syraxa sat on the edge of a maintenance bench, armor peeled away, revealing the long gash across her ribs where the Seeker had struck her. Reed stood behind her, cleaning the wound with gentle pressure, working in silence. "I should have dodged," she muttered. "You saved their lives. Didn't mean to." "You always mean to," Reed replied. "You just pretend you don't." She let out a soft laugh. "You're learning me." "I'm paying attention," he said. Syraxa turned, her eyes meeting his. The last rays of sunset poured through the broken window, casting gold across her face. "You don't flinch from me," she said quietly. "Even after seeing what I am." "I've seen worse," he said. "But have you felt more?" Reed paused, then shook his head. "Never." She reached out, fingers brushing the side of his jaw. "I was bred to fight, to conquer, to never feel too much," she whispered. "But now, every time you breathe, my heart shifts, and I don't know if I hate it or love it." "Maybe it's both," Reed said. They leaned into each other, lips almost touching. She stopped. "If we start this, I'm already in it," and that was enough. Their kiss wasn't soft, it was honest, like 2 weapons choosing to become human, together. The next morning, the sky cracked, not with violence, but with a voice. The outpost's communication system, which had been offline since the Seeker arrived, suddenly activated, and a signal cut through every frequency. "You survived." Naivara's eyes widened. "That voice." Syraxa stood, armor reactivating on instinct. "It's her." On every screen, a single image appeared. A woman, tall, cold, crowned in obsidian light, High Marshal Aethera, voice of the Gene Tribunal, Zyrea, and Naivara's older sister. "You've broken every law written in our blood," Aethera's voice echoed. "You've bonded with lesser creatures. And worse, you've fused the pulse." Naivara shivered. She's not here for negotiation. No, Saraxa said, stepping forward. She's here to end us. On the screen, Ethera's gaze locked directly onto them. Return with me willingly, or Earth burns. The transmission ended. Silence. Then Saraxa whispered, "It's not over." Reed placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we finish it. Together." The sky bled purple as Ethera's warship breached Earth's orbit. Unlike the Seeker's arrival, there was no silence this time. There was presence. Her ship didn't hide. It cast a shadow visible from every northern hemisphere sky. Every military satellite locked onto it. Every radar pinged like a dying heartbeat. Inside Earth's Defense Council war room, generals barked orders, but deep inside the outpost, past the bunkers, the med labs, and the fire-scorched field, 4 people waited in silence. 2 sisters, 2 humans. 4 heartbeats, synchronized. Naivara stared up at the slowly descending vessel. "She's not here to arrest us," she said. "No," Saraxa muttered, flexing her gauntlet. "She's here to erase us." When the warship landed, it didn't deploy an army. Just her Ethera, tall, impossibly elegant, armored in black-violet steel that rippled like liquid. Her hair, silver with threads of starlight, flowed unnaturally, untouched by gravity. Her face was calm, expressionless, utterly unreadable. Reed whispered, "She doesn't look like someone here to talk." "She never did," Saraxa said bitterly. Naivara stepped forward alone at first. "Sister," she called, voice steady. Ethera's eyes flicked toward her. "Naivara, you look smaller than I remember. I feel stronger than I ever was." "Because of him?" Ethera's gaze shifted to Cal. "Because of that?" Naivara nodded without flinching. "Because of love." Ethera tilted her head. "You think that makes you powerful?" "No," Naivara said. "It makes me free." Ethera's face hardened for the first time. "I warned you both what love does. It contaminates. It burns truth. It severs us from our purpose." "You were wrong." Saraxa stepped beside her sister now. "Love didn't weaken us, it made us whole. And for that," Ethera said softly, "you must die." Suddenly the air cracked. Faster than sight, Ethera launched forward. Saraxa moved, intercepting the blow with her halberd, sparks raining down like thunder. Reed rushed in from the side, pulse-charged rifle raised, sending a volley into Ethera's path. She batted them away like dust. Naivara leapt backward, drawing Ethera's fire toward her, luring her sister away from the others. "You never understood me," Naivara shouted as plasma burst around her. "I understood you too well," Ethera snapped. "You were the dreamer, the failure, the one who looked at galaxies and saw paintings instead of weapons." Cal appeared from behind the rock line, his palms lit with white energy. "Funny. Sounds like the best parts of her to me." He launched a shockwave, not to harm, but to stun. Ethera staggered. Saraxa struck. The clash shook the trees. "You were supposed to protect us," Saraxa yelled, locking weapons with her sister. "I did," Ethera hissed, "by silencing your weakness." "No," Saraxa said. "You buried your own." And then, Reed touched her shoulder. A pulse. She glowed, and in that second, Saraxa felt everything from him. Not just strategy, not just strength. Devotion. It flowed into her. Through her. Her halberd erupted with radiant heat. She drove it forward, and Ethera fell back. Naivara stood now, holding Cal's hand as they approached. "This doesn't have to end in death," she said. Ethera coughed, slowly rising from the ground. Her armor cracked, light spilling from beneath. "You speak of mercy?" She laughed coldly. "You infected yourselves. You broke the code. You turned your backs on what we were meant to be." "No," Saraxa said, stepping beside Naivara. "We evolved." Ethera blinked, and for the first time, she looked tired. You bonded with humans, she whispered. You merged your energy, your essence, with creatures who live less than a century. Reed spoke now, calm and clear. That's what makes us human, Cal added. We love harder because we know it won't last forever. Naivara stepped forward, tears lining her silver lashes. You can feel it, can't you? She said gently. There's a part of you that's still like us. For a breathless moment, Aethira's voice cracked. I remember, once, before the crown, I painted. I wrote. Her fingers trembled. But then she clenched her fist. No, she growled. It's too late. Syraxa didn't flinch. Then, finish it. But Aethira didn't. She dropped to her knees. I don't have the strength to kill you, she whispered. Because the bond, it's stronger than I was taught. She looked at them, the humans and her sisters. And finally, whispered, Run, before they send something worse. Later that night, the warship rose again, without firing a shot. Naivara sat beside Cal in the hangar, her head on his shoulder. Syraxa leaned against Reed, both of them silent, but finally, at peace. She let us go, Naivara said softly. No, Syraxa said. She couldn't stop us. The stars never looked the same again. Aethira's warship vanished into the dark. But it left behind more than just a threat. It left a question that lingered in the air, heavier than gravity itself. What do you do when you fought, bled, and survived for the sake of love, yet you know that love cannot shield you from the consequences of history? The earth trembled, not from war, not from the echoes of the past, but from the future, uncertain and wide. Naivara stood at the edge of the cliff overlooking the vast ocean, her silver eyes reflecting the infinite stars. Beside her, Cal's hand found hers, warm and steady. You were right, she whispered, voice thick with emotion. What do you mean? Cal asked. The galaxy was never going to stop chasing us. It was never just about us, but it was always about this, she said, pulling his hand close to her chest. It was always about finding each other. He kissed her forehead softly, whispering, and we did. We found something bigger than we ever dreamed of. Behind them, Syraxa and Reed stood close, but with a space between them, a gap only love could bridge. The bond between them was tested, but neither had faltered. We're not the only ones who changed, Syraxa said quietly, watching the sky. Aethira, she saw something. I think she saw the future, Reed replied. She saw that the war, the fight for dominance, it was all meaningless without love. The wind howled through the valley, carrying a promise, not of war, not of conquest, but of hope. Naivara turned to face the others, eyes shining with purpose. Do you remember what she said? She asked. Run before they send something worse. Her voice was soft. But what if we are what's worse? Syraxa raised her brow. What do you mean? Maybe it's time for us to stop running, Naivara said, the weight of her words sinking in. We've run from who we are, from our past, from everything that's tried to control us. But we are not the villains. We're the ones who rewrite the story. We're the ones who choose what comes next. The four of them stood in the glow of an earth that had witnessed countless struggles, yet never seen anything quite like this. The warriors of two worlds standing as one, their destinies intertwined. Cal stepped forward, his expression serious. We can't go back to the galaxy we knew, but we don't need to. No, Naivara said, her voice breaking with emotion. We'll create a new one built on us. We'll need to fight, Syraxa said, her voice low. But not the kind of fight we've known, the kind that brings people together. And we'll need to make sacrifices, Reed added. We may have already lost everything we thought we knew. But this. He looked at Naivara and Syraxa, then at the earth stretching before them. This is our chance to build. There was no hesitation in their eyes, no fear. They had come this far. They had chosen love, and now they would choose to change everything. The sun set on Earth, a horizon that had known pain, yet now welcomed a future full of new possibilities. As the four of them walked away from the cliffside, each step was a promise to protect their love, a promise to create a future, not just for themselves, but for everyone they touched. A promise to never let the stars forget that the most powerful force in the universe was not just energy, not just technology, but love and the hearts that carried it.